Sean Connery returns to the role of 007. Here's my review of 1963's From Russia with Love. Hey guys, how are you? Here's my review of 1963's From Russia with Love. Once again, Sean Connery stars as 007, and this movie is directed by Terrence, who returns after directing the previous movie, Dr. No. Aside from Sean Connery, who is absolutely perfect as 007 in this movie, he's really starting to grow into the role. The movie stars Daniella Bianchi as Tatiana Romanova, a Russian cipher clerk. Robert Shaw as Red Grant, a henchman who's working for Spectre. Pedro Armendariz, who plays Kerim Bey. Lotte Lenya, who plays Colonel Klebb. And then returning characters we have Bernard Lee and Lois Maxwell, who play M and Miss Moneypenny respectively. But making his 007 debut is Desmond Llewellyn, who plays the part of Q. However, he's not referred to as Q, he is just simply called the equipment officer. But Desmond Llewellyn would go on to portray the part of Q in 17 Bond movies. That's right, 17 Bond movies over the next 30 or 40 years. The plot of From Russia with Love is a real Cold War thriller and is a complete turnaround from what we got in Dr. No. Here we get to see more of a gritty spy movie. Spectre agent Kronstein has come up with a devious plan of helping Spectre get their hands on the Lecter machine by getting Colonel Klebb to defect from the Russians to Spectre. Then Colonel Klebb convinces cipher clerk Tatiana Romanova to seduce 007, fall in love with him and do anything he says. So 007 will get his hands on the Lecter machine before they can retrieve it. I must admit, I do find the plot quite complicated at times and try not to think about it too much. Knowing what I know about the production of the film, the plot was reworked slightly from the writing process because it didn't quite make sense. So you can see there are parts where the plot's been played around with to make it actually work for the movie. And on the whole it does. The plot itself moves at a nice pace, it's not overly fast, it does generate a nice amount of suspense, and we do get to see 007 do some spy work, which is actually pretty good because in a lot of the later movies we don't. In terms of the locations, we do get a pretty good feeling of what Istanbul must have been like in the 60s, though I must admit it's probably played up a little bit to the spy aspect. But the director does give us a nice feeling of what that city is like. We also get to see a little bit of Venice at the end of the movie and some random countryside which is meant to be somewhere between Belgrade and Zagreb. In terms of set pieces, the producers have really pushed the boat out on this one. We get more than we got in the last movie, Dr. No. We get an absolutely fantastic fight at a gypsy camp, a big helicopter chase in the countryside, and a claustrophobic, tense fist fight in a train. The first of many to come. The musical score by John Barry is absolutely fantastic and really adds atmosphere to the film, and it is absolutely first class, and the first of many scores that John Barry would do for the series. Robert Brownjohn steps up to do the opening credits for the movie because Maurice Binder was unavailable, and he attained his effects by using projections onto women's bodies to get his opening credits rather than Maurice Binder's trademark of using silhouettes. Worked quite well, although Maurice Binder would return later on in the series and completely own the whole opening credits from then until this day. Okay, so let's talk about performances for a while. Sean Connery is really starting to grow into the part of 007 with From Russia with Love. He's really starting to become comfortable with this character, and certainly by Goldfinger he would absolutely own the character. Daniella Bianchi's character of Tatiana Romanova is totally different to what we got with Ursula Andress and Honey Rider in the first movie. Daniella Bianchi looks amazing. Again, she is dubbed, which is one of my main gripes with this, but there must have been some sort of reason. Not quite sure what it is, maybe it was her accent, I don't know. But she does an absolutely fantastic job and she looks amazing. The MI6 crew are really starting to get used to the parts, but it is funny to see Moneypenny with a cigarette at a desk, which in this day and age we certainly wouldn't expect, but in the 60s must have been quite commonplace. It's also quite funny to see her lusting after 007 when she's listening to M and the other people in his office. Desmond Llewellyn's character of Q, or the equipment officer as he's called here, is played differently here to how he will be in the rest of the series. He's played as a very straight civil servant here, very English and well spoken, whereas later in the movie he would start to get gripes and start to resent 007 for damaging all his equipment. Here he literally just plays the part straight as normal civil servant. During filming of the movie, Pedro Armendariz, who plays Kerim Bey, was diagnosed with an illness that was terminal, and throughout the filming he was getting iller and iller, but he decided he wanted to finish filming, and he does give a very strong performance. Robert Shaw, who plays Red Grant, does an admirable job here in the part, and there's a particularly funny scene where he's on the train with 007 pretending to be an ally of 007's. They order fish for dinner and he orders a red wine to go with the fish. 007 looks down his nose at him and seethes with contempt at somebody ordering a red wine rather than a white wine with fish. absolutely hilarious but very subtly played scene. I absolutely love it. Lotte Lenya plays the part of Rosa Klebb particularly creepily, and we do get hints at her sexuality, although it's never directly addressed in the movie. From Russia with Love marks the first time we get to feel the presence of Blofeld in the 007 universe. We don't actually get to see his face, that doesn't come until later on in the series, but we do get to see him stroking the white cat, which would become a trademark of his character, even to this day. The production designer from Russia with Love is very, very good. It's a lot more realistic looking than we got in Doctor No. It's not quite as lavish, very gritty and a lot more realistic, which reflects with the locations that they were using. I think From Russia with Love is an absolutely fantastic movie. It is a very, very strong entry in the 007 series, and it certainly was helped with the fact that President Kennedy did put the book of From Russia with Love in his top 10 novels of all time, so that really helped the movie when it first came out back in the 60s. I'm going to give From Russia with Love 4 out of 5. Thanks very much for watching the review, guys. I really do appreciate you sitting down and spending a little bit of time with me to talk about these movies. Let me know in the comments below what you thought of From Russia with Love. Which is your favourite Bond movie? Which is your favourite Bond actor? Let me know down below and let's start a conversation. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up button, please, and subscribe while you're here. That way I'll see you next time when I review Goldfinger next month. Bye.